Chase, I have in my possession a gift that I can give you.
Okay.
This gift can do one of two things, and you can only pick one of these.
Okay.
You can either use my gift to bring back a mechanic trope style of video game, or you can use the same tool to remove a current trope mechanic style video game.
Mm,
And if you do this, it never can come back. Just know that.
interesting. Before I answer, a couple things. One, are we good on the audio?
I mean, it looks like it on my end. I can turn it up
You
really
clear
quick
us?
here. Yeah, hearing that
Okay.
works.
Also, are we talking about Dead Space?
I'm working on that.
Okay. Sorry.
Sorry, listeners. Chase is being overly critical right now.
Well, Johnny's not here, so somebody's got to right the ship. Johnny's our quality control guy.
Yes, that's terrible.
That's a joke. That's not true. All right, a mechanic or trope or something to bring back, or a mechanic to get rid of entirely. I feel like I'm gonna go with the get rid of, because I feel like anybody could bring anything back. I'm not, and I also feel like there are so many people out there making games that even if I said one, it's like, oh, I wish they brought that back. Somebody could immediately go, oh, they did. It's here in this game, and this game.
Sure.
So I think the easier answer here is to take something away. And I think, I mean, this is, I'm sorry, Bobby, this is just such an easy answer. I would take away VR. I would just kill VR dead. I'd put it in the ground. We've had talks about this. I've heard the arguments on this that it's not an opportunity cost thing. It's not, somebody making a VR game doesn't mean you can't have your other video games that you care about. And I agree with that to an extent, but especially when I see something like the Psych Odyssey, the Double Fine Psych Odyssey documentary.
Sure.
Part of that at the beginning is before they get into Psychonauts 2 proper, they're doing Rhombus of Ruin, which is the PS VR exclusive game. And while it helped them figure out what they wanted to do with the with Psychonauts 2 and kind of helps springboard them in there,
Sure.
like that is something where I could go, yeah, you built like a VR game that's supposed to bridge the two things, and I mean, that's the continuation of a story that I would like to know. And I only got to briefly see at a PAX one time, because I'm not going to shell out, $300, $400, $500 for a headset to learn that stuff. I mean, it's not like Half-Life Alyx is not Half-Life 3, but it's a continuation of that story that I'll just never see, because again, I'm not going to shell out the type of money that Valve wants me to shell out for that. So I think there is a bit of an opportunity cost for somebody like me. I don't know. I've never been a big fan of VR.
Get rid of it.
I enjoyed Super Hot VR when I went over to your place and played it. I liked playing Tetris Effect in VR. I played.
It makes a good demo.
What's the
Astro?
Yes, Astro Bot Rescue Mission.
Yep.
And like that too. And then I played like Beat Saber, and it was fine. But I really liked Super Hot VR, but also I just really like Super Hot.
Totally, man.
How about you, Bobby? You asked the question. I assume you have an answer to this.
I think a lot about it. I don't know how to articulate it, and it's getting a bit better. I might just be getting old here, man, but I really would love to see less PvP focus and more PvE inclusion. I think that should change. The whole past 2 decades, PvP's been evergreen, but I think that with all kinds of reasons, there's a place for PvE to be more in the spotlight.
You know what? I was actually really close to saying Battle Royale as one of my other options. Despite this is going to sound weird coming from me, because despite my love of games like Destiny, I think just live service games in general would be another one. Because we'll talk about it in part of our news section, but as a person who cares about game preservation, when games go away in different forms. I don't like that.
No.
And when you put your game as an always online live service thing, it puts an expiration date on your game eventually
100%.
that you will take that down someday. Could be tomorrow, it could be 20 years from now, but someday nobody's going to know what that game is because they just don't have access to it, and I think that sucks. So
You know what won't be taken down? The casual
well,
hour.
are you sure? Are you sure about that? I bet
Uh,
Twitch could take us down real quick if they wanted to.
well, we are the casual hour. We are 2/3 of the casual hour. Johnny is out sick, and that's going to net him a few more points
And
on
we
the.
made him that way.
We made
We
him
made
sick.
him sick.
And he's not the good sick. He's not
No.
sick. He's just sick.
Yeah.
But Chase is not
Gross.
sick. He's sick, and he's here.
I'm definitely sick.
Yeah, he's definitely sick. Chase is here. Chase, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. We've got a fun show for you tonight. We got some video games to talk about. You're going to hear a little bit about that Diablo
I
4
don't.
beta. That's fine. You're going to hear about another beta for Exoprimal, and you're going to hear some Sons of the Forest stuff. Chase mentioned it. We got some news in the back half. We're going to talk a bit about Respawn. We're going to talk about Arcane. We're going to talk about Destiny, of course, and maybe some stuff with Valve. So stick around. It'll be a good time. Chase, you said you're not playing anything.
I'm not. This has been a busy week. There's been a lot of sports out there that I care about. It's March Madness. Got to watch. Here, you know what? I'll show the people. This is my. Well, this is the actual bracket. This is my bracket. You see a lot of red, a lot of red highlighter on that. That means I did poorly.
No good.
Yeah, don't pick Purdue as your champion, even when they're a number 1 seed, because they lost. They're only the second number 1 seed to lose to a 16 seed in the first round. Pretty bad. Anyway, so I've been watching a lot of basketball. That's been fun. My Missouri Tigers have also been eliminated now, but they had a good run. Did better than anybody thought they would. So I'm pretty happy about that. And then while that tournament is still going on, we just got through the first couple rounds. The game start up tomorrow or yesterday, depending on when you're listening to this podcast. The World Baseball Classic ended, which is a large scale baseball tournament that has kind of been gaining traction. It's played every 3 years, and it kind of blew up this year.
Nice.
And there were some really good teams and some incredible games. So I've been spending most of my evenings watching basketball and then baseball. So I haven't really played much. I have the only thing I've played is the thing that I will not talk about anymore. At least on the What You've Been Playing segment, we will talk about it a little bit in news. But it's the D word. So I've definitely been playing more of that, and then I've been trying to find time to go back to Opus, Echo of Star Song, the game that is on my backlog roulette for this month. I've really only had I think I've had 2 sessions where I played it, and I haven't gotten super far into it. I like
This
it.
is your pick for anybody who's not aware. Chase does a spin the wheel every month to pick a game from his backlog for March. During our March preview episode, he picked Opus.
Well, Lady Luck picked Opus. I picked nothing. But yes, I do want to get back to that. It's kind of a visual novel with some RPG elements to it. I think it's really cool. I just need to make some time to actually play it, and that's been difficult with all the sports and all of the D word stuff going on. So that's basically it for me. I promise I'll get back to gaming here.
You love
soon.
baseball, and
I do love baseball.
I'm going to follow your lead, and I'm going to also talk about a D word, and that D word is Diablo 4 beta, which if you pre-ordered the game,
D words. That was not my D word, but
it's not his D word.
It is yours.
It is mine. If you bought a KFC Double Down sandwich or pre-ordered Diablo 4, you will be able to.
D.
You
That's
were
a double
able
D word.
double D. You would have been able to check out Diablo 4's closed beta last weekend where they had 3 classes available. They had the sorcerer, they had the barbarian, and they had the rogue that you could log on and play this game. And I checked it out. Johnny and I we streamed it on Friday with friend of the show Jason and friend of the show Jared. And I got to tell you, Diablo 4 really fucking cool. It is more Diablo and it is good Diablo.
I guess that's my big question: is what's different in Diablo 4 compared to a Diablo 3?
First and foremost, it's gorgeous. They've done a complete graphical overhaul. It looks
Diablo 3 was pretty nice looking.
it was pretty nice looking. I actually did not realize how much of an improvement they made until people posted some side by sides of character models today, and
Yeah.
that was really jarring to see. They've added a really big focus on making this feel more like an actual open world game, and it does. You have side quests, you have different territories you go into, and they've even added mounts. They weren't unlocked in the beta, but you can now get a mount that you can traverse the world with, and that's really cool as well. There's public events now, and as you're playing the game, you're seeing a bunch of other fucking people running around playing the game too, and you can happen to come across a public event very much like a Destiny or other MMO, and that's really cool. You can do dungeons where you'll see other people running around in there as well. I found that to be really neat. It feels to me a lot like how Diablo Immortal played, and I think I had even mentioned it when I was playing that game. I can absolutely see this being how Diablo 4 will feel because the world felt full of people. There were events that you could go and do. You could easily link up for daily challenges. They had great matchmaking. I see that happening here for sure. They've added a bunch of different things to what not a bunch of different things, but they've done some tweaking to the character classes. The sorcerer is now way more elemental, and you can do some really broken stuff with that. It's one of the most broken builds I've seen of a character. You can do ice, fire, you can do I don't know what electrical, but the big thing is this Hydra move that it has, where it basically 3 heads of Hydra come up out of the ground and just start doing area of effect, kind of like a turret shot. It's really fucking broken in an awesome way. The questing seems good. You got some dialogue choices. A big one that I really enjoyed: full character customization. You can go in and make your character look exactly how you want your barbarian to look. They've also brought in, I guess, is it transmogging? Is that how you would call that around like some of the stuff with
Yeah.
armor?
Transmog's generally what it's called. Yeah.
So they've got a whole system with that. You can do loadouts. You can change, like if you're picking up new armor on the go and you've got a transmog set, it doesn't matter what you put on, you're going to stay and look the same. So that was a really shitty thing for me playing Immortal, is that my barbarian looked like a big doofus half the time until like near end game, but you can make them look a certain type of way.
That can be kind of fun too, though. Is
Yeah.
sorry, I know you like this as well in your video games. You want the your equipment to actually show up on your character,
Yep.
and transmog is cool in that you get to make your character look exactly like you want them to, but it's also kind of a double-edged sword in that way of, oh, I just picked up this cool new shield, I want to see what it looks like, and if you already have the transmog on, then it just
Yeah, you
looks
are
like the same
limited.
shield you already had. But I mean, it's better to have that option than to not have that option.
One of,
So
one
so
of the
that
cool
sounds
things
pretty
with
cool.
that too. Yeah, I agree with you. And one of the things I really liked about this is whenever you have your loot, it'll have an option where it's like, hey, if you salvage this, you unlock this. And so when you go back to town, you're not only getting materials to craft, which is a whole new system. You can now go in and say, I really liked how that legendary or that epic or whatever looked. I salvaged it. I got some shit from it, and now that's unlocked forever in my inventory, and I can just apply the look of that across the board, which I think is really neat. So that stuff's really cool. The story seems pretty straightforward. You're fighting Lilith in this one, but for the most part, I think it is more of like, I haven't played a lot outside of the beta. It feels like they're sidestepping more than they're jumping forward in some ways from like the Diablo stuff. This feels exactly what I thought like 3 and Immortal like built up together would be, and like it
Hmm.
feels like the evolution for them. So I'm really digging it. There's an open beta. If you're listening to this as it came out today on, I think that would be the 24th, you'll be able to go in and play this game without purchasing it, and they're going to unlock 3 more classes. You get or I think 2 more. I'm sorry. You get Druid and the Necromancer, which are both the 2 classes I'm most excited about.
Very
It's
cool.
cool. It's
I
cool.
I think I mean I have nothing against Diablo. I haven't played much of it. I played a little bit of 3, and I mean didn't hate it. Just kind of played it a little bit on the Switch and then didn't play much more of it. Um, I feel like if I were to play a Diablo, we talked about this when Immortal came out, and we'll talk about it again, I guess. Um, I want to play 2. Like 2 is the one that people revere. Like that was peak Diablo. That was, I remember like sitting in my middle school English class, and my teacher, we had some free time at one point, and he just opens up his laptop and starts playing Diablo 2, and the rest of us crowd around going, what is this? This is nuts. um and I know that like it's what did they call it, their remastered edition that's out
Yeah,
there. And it's out on the Switch, and I think it has controller support.
it does.
Well, if it's on the Switch, it has to, right?
Yep.
So part of me thinks like if I was going to go back to a Diablo, if I was going to go and play a Diablo, it would probably go back to 2. Or you know what? Hey, you still own 3, you dummy. You should just go and play the one that you already own. So that's probably what's going to happen. I I really liked the original Torchlight. But I liked how small and contained it was. And then once Torchlight 2 came out, it was this bigger, weirder, in my opinion, worse thing. I don't know. I don't know how
There's
big I want those games to be. So you saying that it's open world like sounds enticing to a person who has played Diablo games before and wants something new.
yeah.
But I think for me, I'm looking for more of that relatively condensed experience out of it.
So one other thing I'll call out here, that might, well, I haven't asked for you, but I have one more thing to call.
Okay.
Diablo 3 on PC did not have controller support. And when you said it for Diablo 2, they added it there, which was great, but they did not add
Mm-hmm.
it for 3. Playing with a controller is going to get me in trouble probably on PC feels incredible. That is my preferred method of playing it. The last thing I'll just say to you is you should download it this weekend and just run a little bit with me. Just see what it feels
Well,
like.
this weekend I'm out of town, but
Ah,
you know,
yeah.
yeah, sorry.
Anyway,
Let me ask you this one question before we move on. You played a decent amount of Immortal.
I beat it.
Oh, well, okay, then you played quite a bit of Immortal. Um, how we talked a little bit about this offline, but like, how do these games compare in a way? It's from what we talked about. You said it sounds like some kind of DNA moved into 4 from Immortal. Like they built
The
on some
con-
concepts
the
there.
controller support feels. I played Immortal with a controller, and it feels very similar in how you would map things. That you have way more control here than what you do like on Immortal, but
Mm-hmm.
the triggers and the mappings are similar. And then the like lived in world, the MMO esqueness of this is absolutely there. The Diablo Immortal felt like a gotcha treadmill in a lot of
Right.
ways.
Mm-hmm.
This does not feel that way. This feels like you're playing Diablo 3, but there just happens to be public events and people that you can encounter in the world. That's it.
Is there a battle pass of some sort in this game?
There is. And
Okay.
that was also one thing that, people were really up in arms about. My understanding is that this is a cosmetic battle pass that you're going to be getting here. I bought the deluxe edition because it gets you the game a little bit early. It gets you the battle pass and like the content that comes with it. It was like the $99 version. And that one, there's an $89 one and then a 99. And the 99 gets you the earlier access, but it also, no, I think they both do. You jump ahead in the battle pass. You unlock a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff at the beginning. And yeah, so I got that.
Yeah. You know what? Back to the cold open. Maybe a battle pass is what I might kill as well. I
Yeah,
mean, I
that's
guess it goes with live service games
and
in a way, but like,
battle
man,
royales. Yeah.
Battle passes, man. Sometimes it's just like, hey, what if you just put the shit in your game and I didn't have to go through a bunch of bullshit each time
Yeah.
and potentially pay you more money for this game that I already paid you for. Um, how about like auction house stuff? I know that was stuff that got Diablo 3 in trouble when it first came out.
I did not see anything with that.
Okay. All right.
Could be
Well,
there,
cool.
could not be. Yeah, that's Diablo 4. I'm going to be checking that out again this weekend. As I mentioned, Druid and the Necromancer, my favorite classes to check out.
When is the official 1.0 release date?
June 6th, I think, or June 2nd, one of those two. Like it's in that range, early June, like
Okay.
the first week of June.
Sounds good.
Yep. I also checked out another beta, not nearly as much because this coincided with the Diablo beta, but Exoprimal. This is that new Capcom game. People have called it Anthem with dinosaurs. It's like hordes
Yeah.
and hordes of dinosaurs. I got to check this out, and I walked away from that with a lot of emotions. And
Okay.
originally saw, I'm like, this looks dumb, and the best, like, portals opening the sky and shit tons of dinosaurs. I'm like, I like
Yeah.
that. I also like Anthem.
It's like physics. We're not just talking about like, oh, portal opens and some dinosaurs pop out. Like, no. It's like a physics test. This is like back on the what was it, the PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3? I think it was the 3, where they did like the rubber duck test, and it's
Yes,
just it's just a
dude.
wave
Oops,
of rubber
all
ducks
rubber
piling
ducks.
in. So like, just replace rubber ducks with velociraptors, and that's what Exoprimal looked like in its first trailers. So what are you,
I'm
what are
not
you
going to bury
doing
the
here?
lead here. I'm not going to bury any lead further. Here's what I'm going to tell you. This
Okay.
is way more of a PvP game than what they're letting on.
Oh, that's
And it, I mean, but here's the thing. I don't know if I should say it that way. It is like, what if we took some elements of Gambit and mixed it with Overwatch?
yeah, like it's a PvPvE thing, sure.
Yeah,
Like you're trying to do stuff, but then there are these hordes of dinosaurs that are in your
correct.
way as you're trying to do stuff.
So they have, it's
Okay.
a character game in the sense, just like in Overwatch, there's all these different mechs that you can pilot. So you can customize your character, and your character in game can just switch and a new mech suit will come in and they'll go into it. But they're named mech suits and they have power abilities, and they're even broken down like, hey, here's the support class, this is your tank. They do it that way, which is cool. But it is like a 3-stage event. It's not quite a game show. The first 2 waves, if I remember correctly, that's when the dinosaurs are coming in, and you are seeing the hordes of them coming in. And while you're doing it, they'll be like, hey, the opposing team is further ahead of you on this right now. And so they're making further progress. So then they'll do like a quick ghost version of the team alongside you, and you can kind of see where they're at and what they're doing. That was fun and really cool. I played as the like that, I guess I would call, was it like Soldier 76 on Overwatch? Is that his name?
Yeah.
That's basically like the suit that I used here on this. It was like I don't call it generic, but it was the yellow suit from Anthem, just your standard ass suit. But then the third phase of this is they're like, okay, you need to go in and pick up power cores. And by the way, the other team's trying to pick them up right now as well. So the third and final act, and which was the longest act, is just straight up PvP shooting each other in your mech suits. Um, I didn't care for that much, but the gameplay felt awesome. Everybody has like 2 abilities and an alt. My character, his suit kind of fillets open, and all these arms come out with like different guns, and you're just shooting like a barrage of bullets that you can then mow people down with. And that was fucking awesome to see. Like all these raptors coming in, and you do that. There's some really big, like there's a melee tank that looks like a Hulk Buster. That seems like a lot of fun. You can do the like Battlefront, like, hey, you've unlocked an actual dinosaur to come in that you can control, and then you're
Okay.
playing as a dinosaur that you just go and chomp up other robots with. It's very dumb and very good, and I liked it a whole lot. Like, I was loving all that stuff. I thought it felt good. I was like, this will be a really cool game to play with the friends. And then the PvP stuff lingered, and it was just dumb. I'm like, I would just want to like go through this shitty game show of hunting dinosaurs as mechs. I don't want to fight the other team. But I again,
It,
I'm an
it's a
outlier there.
real it's a real shame that Anthem was bad.
I
Like
know. God,
Anthem had some stuff in it that I thought was pretty interesting and cool, and then it just ended up being such a bummer of a video
I
game.
know.
I guess, I mean, I didn't really know what this game was until you told me here. So I guess that kind of disappoints me. I guess the next one of these that I'm cautiously optimistic for is that Arc Raiders game.
Yeah,
Um, like
yeah,
maybe that'll be the thing that pulls me away from Destiny and allows us to go in and have some fun. And it's not mech suits exactly, but it's you fighting robots in like
yeah.
bigger co-op Monster Hunter-y ways, which could be kind of cool. Um, yeah, just
Here,
PvP is not. That's
I
not.
know.
That's not why I'm in the video games
This
these
is what I will
days.
say. This game is going to be a day one launch on Game Pass. I think that is a perfect fucking thing. It'll
Yeah.
be, I can easily see myself running through a little bit of it, but it's got the Battle Pass stuff in there as well. I think all that shit's there. Chase, I have one more small update to share with you tonight, and that is on Sons of the Forest, a game that we have streamed and talked about. We have not done a quick look for, which I want to change, but we finally set up camp. We found a spot, and I've been
Yep.
building.
And when you say we, you mean you, Johnny, and friend of the show, Jason?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we have
Okay.
a save.
Because I have not played this game.
You have not you
Just
have not played it.
let the audience know.
We had been kind of just in like 3 small shacks for the really a long time, and we've been talking like, hey, I want to find a spot to start building a base and then go full Death Stranding and build my network of zip lines. That's my next plan. But to the surprise of nobody, Jason and Johnny have been MIA when it comes to doing the work. And I like to build, this.
Johnny's got a lot of active Octopath Traveler to play, so
He's got a lot of that to play. The thing about building games, especially like this, is I need people to help me get resources because that's the grind. You're going out chopping trees and all that shit.
right.
The point I want to make is we talked about Kelvin, we've talked about Virginia on here a lot. This was one of the absolute coolest experiences, and it's hard for me to say that like this is best moment because it was a really long sequence here. But I'm building, and as I'm like doing shit, I'm like, okay, fuck, I need to get this going. I don't have that. Oh shit, Kelvin's here. Kelvin,
Right.
go get me all these things. Kelvin goes and does it. All of a sudden I hear a gunshot. Virginia has been walking around me the entire time I've been out here working on this. And as the enemies came in, she like shot one, alerted me because I was like building, not focused on anything going on. And it was just it's kind of sad because I got so excited because I'm playing this by myself, where it's a game that's best
Mm-hmm.
together. It is such a cool fucking thing, man. It was so fucking cool.
It is like on one hand, I could see, I could make an argument. I'm not making this argument, but one could make the argument that okay, the solution that they've made is what if we just play the game for you over here, so you can play the other game over here, and to an extent that's true, but what it's really doing is simulating what it would be like to have
Yeah,
Johnny or Jason there.
yeah, totally.
And so I think we made this analogy, or I made this analogy one of the other times we talked about this, is it feels a little bit more like the modern Monster Hunter games where you have your Palico
Yep.
who can do many more things. It's not just
Oh yeah.
soloing Monster Hunter games, I would say not fun. I've done that in the past
Yep.
and hated it, which is probably why I still don't like Monster Hunter today. But when you have the Palico that can fight with you, that can draw aggro from the monsters, who could, I think they can cook. Can your Palico cook?
They can like help get food and shit like that. Yeah.
Okay, so like you can have your Palico help you with healing. Like you can do things where it feels like you're not alone in this. You have a little AI buddy who is simulating the feeling of having somebody else with you, which is the best way to play Monster Hunter, is to have other people with you battling the thing. So you're not solo. So I guess I can understand why this is a really cool thing, but part of me is like, okay, so the game is playing itself a little bit, so you can just focus on one part of it.
I mean, if there would have been somebody in Subnautica that could collect things or like help me find oxygen, that would have been great. Like even here, it's one of those bits where I just feel, yes, they are gaming their own game in a way.
Mhm.
but they've made it in such a fun way where I do feel like, hey, I I know that you need to go do all these things, Johnny, but like I just kind of want you to follow me around and help me get things for a bit. And that's not fun for the other person. Like it's just not.
Right.
If you're not into it, it's not there. But as somebody, I'm looking at this as like I have the best build resource. It's almost like I can then open up this palette, get into it. We and the last thing I'll share is we found an awesome location. My big thing, I've mentioned that I like optimization games. I like to do factory building. I like building all this shit. When you're playing a survival craft game, the most important thing you can do is survive. And I see so many people who look for just like a kick-ass looking location. That's a big part of it, but you need to have something in these games that you can cover your basic needs. Do you have the food source that you would need? Do you have the shelter that you would need? And in this game, when there's seasons, a lot of the streams freeze, so you're limited on what you can do from like a thirst perspective. And with running water, you also get fish. There's other wildlife. I found an awesome spot that there's a natural kind of like glacier flow from the mountains, it looks like. And the pond has such a current going through it, it never freezes. So I've kind of built on this to where we have water year round. We've got the entire mountain range and the lake that covers at least a fourth of our property to help with the tax. It's fucking awesome. We're going to stream it in a few weeks. We're getting through Mario Kart and Diablo, but we'll be back to show it off, and it's really fucking cool.
From just from an in-game time standpoint, when you're talking about like being able to last through a winter, how many quote unquote years have you put into Sons of the Forest? Do you know? Have an idea?
I've seen, I think, 6 or 7 winters so
Okay.
far. I was pulling up my library really quick to let you know just what my current. I'm at 49.2 hours right now on Sons of the Forest. So a lot of time spent there.
Yeah.
And that's
I know you're loving the game, and I know it might be some of the stuff that you're bringing to these characters, but I have heard many stories about both Virginia and Kelvin. I assume that they're going to show up in something like a Best New Character of the Year category if and when we make
dude.
one.
Can I just share one 30-second thing that Virginia did?
Go for it.
She does this thing where she'll drop food off at your feet in the morning, and then they will come and like basically say, "Hey, come follow me." I follow them. She goes to a bush. There's a bird in the bush, and you can shoot birds to get feathers. She does a roundhouse kick on the bird and starts to eat said bird right in front of me. And she's just covered in blood, and there's like feathers from where she kicked it. And she just goes, thumbs up after she did it. It was so good.
With her third arm?
She does her thumbs up with her third arm is on her left side above her shoulder, so she does it with her actual, I don't know if it's actual, her original, I don't know, her
I
lower
don't,
left arm.
yeah, I don't
That's
know how to talk about three-armed people. It's
she's
difficult.
good. She's good.
All
All
right.
right, Chase, that's it for the games I've been
It's
playing.
it's not though. It's not though, because you've been playing one other very important game that
I
we
don't
need
think
to
I
tell the
have.
folks about.
I
It,
mean, oh, you're talking about that new Bethesda Doom game that came out on mobile today with the tiny Master Chief?
it's not what I'm
I didn't
talking
want to
about.
talk about 3Ds tonight,
No,
but
I'm talking about three very specific letters, Bobby. MTG. Bobby, you're a
MT.
Magic player now. You've been playing Magic the Gathering.
That's not what I thought you were going to talk about.
I have no idea what you thought I was going to talk about. We're talking about
The D
Magic the
word.
Gathering. Oh, that. Well, yeah. Yeah. Well,
I have.
you've
I
made
am a.
bad life choices.
Yes, that's true. I have been. It's every 3 years. It seems we do something dumb together. First was make the show. Second was
Every day we do something dumb together.
Pokemon cards, and most recently, Chase and Johnny said, "Hey, Bobby, let's go to Johnny's house, get some really good food, and we're gonna play Magic the Gathering."
Yeah, so I'll say this: I played Magic the Gathering in high school, and then when I went to college, I didn't have anyone to play with, and kind of just fell out of the game. But there were a handful of blocks that I played and got way into it for a time. Um, and Johnny has recently been getting into it, and he talks to me a little bit about it because I can understand some of the stuff that he's talking about when it comes to like, oh, the
He bought more cards
different
today.
different colors. Yeah, of course he bought more cards today. He's always buying more
Did he tell you
cards.
what he got?
Yeah, some commander decks for like 40k bullshit or whatever the fuck. I don't
Yes.
know. Um,
Sick. He's a sicko.
I mean, I'm also sick. I was looking up old deck lists of Champions of Kamigawa, which is like a set of cards that came out over a decade ago, and was thinking, these decks are all really expensive now because of course they are. They're all a decade old, decade plus old. But like, oh, what if I got like the proxy cards? I could just buy all the cards that I want. I don't know. I didn't end up doing it because I do have some slight willpower. But anyway, Johnny was talking about Magic the Gathering. I've been reading Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and I was thinking more about the Three Kingdoms Magic set they made way back in the day, and we just kind of were in a position where it was like, God, are we gonna play some Magic? Maybe we're gonna play some Magic. So we did. We had a night where we hung out together, just me and Johnny. Bobby wasn't a part of this. We didn't think he'd want to be a part of our
I wasn't that
cabal.
sicko yet.
Yeah. So we played a handful of hands with some different sets of cards, some new stuff, some old stuff, and had a good time. And Johnny's like, you know what, Bobby might like this. I was like, Bobby's not gonna like this, but we can try. So we did have you come over. We tried to teach you the game with some pretty easy like starter 30 card decks.
Yeah.
Decks that I got at, like PAX East almost a decade ago, like 7-8 years ago, and but they're like these really easy 30 card decks that have really simple mechanics to them that we thought you'd be good to learn with. And we played a handful of hands. We played some 3-way matches. We played a little heads up 1-to-1. I guess I'm most interested in hearing your thoughts about the game mechanically, and how you like it compared to some of the other kind of card games that you've played, both in real life and video games as well.
I like it a whole lot. I've actually been playing a little bit of it on my phone, and
Now you're a
it
sicko. I
now
wouldn't
I'm
even do that.
now I'm a sicko. I think it makes a lot more sense. It's a very dense game, but it's, I think, a lot more approachable than some of the other card mechanics I've encountered out there. Pokemon trading card game is like probably the oldest one of these that I've played before, and it's fine. It's a good time, but like I've always was more gravitated towards like, oh, I got a kick-ass card versus I got a kick-ass card to play with. It was always about, like the really neat artwork and stuff for me.
Mm-hmm.
But this one I think is great. It reminded me the most probably to how I approached the first part of Inscription, and how
Yeah.
I approached playing with like, okay, you need to have this to feed this that's out there. I can then also use a few items or spells that I would have as the person sitting across from Lishi, and that was really cool. And that's what this game reminded me of the most.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. From a video game perspective, that's probably the closest one of the things that you've played. I mean, something like Hearthstone is obviously a much closer thing to what Magic the Gathering is going for. I've played some Hearthstone. It's fine. It's a little different from what I like. Yeah, I think it's great that you enjoyed it. We've got another night that we're setting up to get us all together and to play some more. Maybe we'll even try some deeper strategy decks. I also just
Yes.
found like I had a ton of cards that I don't know when I got them, but
Oh, you found
they're
more?
all no, not more than we talked about last time. But I found all these cards that I guess I had opened from packs, and then just not packs with an X, packs like booster packs. But I'd opened these booster packs, and then I guess I just stored them all together in order. So like
Weird.
in the booster pack order, where a common a booster pack of Magic cards goes like, I don't know, 10. It's like 9 or 10 common cards, and then 2 uncommon cards, and then a rare card. And so I'm just going through these cards and going, wait a minute, these are a bunch of commons and then a couple uncommons and then a rare. A bunch of commons, a couple of uncommons, and a rare. Like, did I store these as as they were
What?
boosters? Like, I don't have the wrappers for the packs anymore, but I just had them all here. So, and I didn't even remember these cards. They're from a set I don't. That would have been way after I started playing or I stopped playing. But I've got all these cards, and so I decided to put them into blocks where now we can do drafting.
Oh, cool.
Magic Gathering is a much better game to try to draft your decks. We've tried it with Pokemon before. It doesn't work with Pokemon because Pokemon cards evolve by their nature. So if you end up getting like a Charmeleon, you're like, well, this sucks because I can't play this unless I get a Charmander,
Right.
and ideally I'd want to have a Charizard to be able to turn it into. But Magic the Gathering has very few cards that require another card for them to be useful, or at least usable, if not have their full power there. So that might be something we try another night when you're feeling a little bit more comfortable, because I think one of the more fun things about Magic is building the deck. And that's not something you got to do because we just used these pre-constructed decks that we had. But I think that'll be the next step, is when you're thinking about strategy for these cards, it's, ooh, I like this card because it makes my opponent discard some stuff. Oh, this card's going to go really well with that and synergize with that. And then you just start building your deck. So I think those could be fun. And I've got like 10 of these blocks, so we can do a ton of drafts if we wanted to. I don't know where I got all these fucking cards. Anyway, so that I just wanted to mention that to the audience. We're starting to play some Magic. We might become further Magic sickos. But honestly, Johnny's been getting way into like all the new cards, like the especially the licensed stuff. We talked about the 40k commander decks, but he's also pre-ordered a bunch of Lord of the Rings cards. Whereas I think I'm viewing it from a much more nostalgic lens, where I want to go back and play Mirrodin decks or Champions of Kamigawa decks that I like. Those are the times that I was playing, and I like those mechanics, and I want to go back to those. But we'll see. I mean, there's a good mix of stuff in there for everybody. Anyway, so yes, we've been playing some Magic, and then yes, you made a terrible mistake and started playing Destiny, and we'll talk about that maybe another time. Maybe we'll talk about that with Johnny when he's back, since we've all been playing now. But I absolutely did not expect nor really want you or Johnny to come and play Destiny with me this season, and yet you both have come back, and I don't know what's happening. I didn't wish for it. We didn't wish for it. I wished for nothing.
Oh my god. All right, Chase, so let's talk about what's happening in the world around us. What do you got for the news this week?
Yeah, first, a couple of these are Johnny stories, so or stories that Johnny put up here. So I don't know them intimately, but for our casual report here, Respawn opens a third studio to keep Apex Legends going for quote 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
I mean, I guess that's good in that, hey, we have a studio that's thinking specifically about Apex, so then hey, maybe we can have some studios that are thinking about Titanfall or I mean, I know they're doing Star Wars Jedi stuff. What's the new one called? Jedi Survivor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They just showed up a trailer for that, didn't they?
The story one. They talk about who the character in the back to tank was. They talk about some returning characters. It's a character from the High Republic, Chase.
Oh, did you read that book?
Started to. It's over he's like over 200 years old, and he's from that era. So we need to figure out why they've kept him on ice.
Nice. I mean, I've seen some Cal Kestis visuals, so you know, yeah, that's something, I guess. Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm glad that Respawn is thriving there at EA. Not a lot of things seem to be, so it's good that they've got an ace up their sleeve, and good that somebody like Apex has kept Respawn in good graces to be able to go out and do the things they want to do while they also have this kind of cash cow going. It's similar to I mean, I don't think Epic has really taken advantage of it in the way that I want them to, but hey, we've got this Fortnite that's printing money for us. Now we can do whatever we want because we know that's going
Totally.
to keep paying out. But yeah, I think that's good. Good growth for those people. Arcane is working on removing their always online component from the single player mode in Redfall.
I'm not
Um,
surprised by this.
I'm surprised by this in the fact that you see more companies putting these kind of systems in, which, as we talked about earlier, I hate because it puts an expiration date in your game. If somebody buys a disc of Redfall and doesn't have an internet connection for some reason, they would just be fucked. But Arcane is going, hey, we know that some of you guys out there don't like it. Our game doesn't specifically have any real reason to have that. I think the one thing they cited was, we use it for big data stuff of being able to track. We're not tracking personal data, but we're tracking the way people play the game and being able to see where people get caught up on different things, or to see content that people keep playing so we can adjust the way that we continue to make the game.
It
But I
sounds
think overall it's just better to rip that shit out, because let
well.
the game be fucking playable.
Here's the other thing about that. Brad Shoemaker was talking on the most recent Nextlander. He had a hands-on 90-minute preview with this game, and he says it is a single player game. It is not a Left 4 Dead game.
Yeah.
And it is more akin to like the Far Cry games where you could play that with somebody else if you wanted to. And they should make this as offline as it can be for people who just want to have that single player experience, which the game
Didn't
sounds
he
really
also say they don't even have bots? Like, if you're playing
yeah.
solo, you're playing solo. Like,
Yeah,
if
you're by
other people
yourself.
want to join you, you can
Totally.
play with that. But it isn't, you do not have a Kelvin to
No.
help you fight vampires.
Yeah, I got really excited when I heard that because I thought it was just going to be like another Back 4 Blood or Left 4 Dead, and it's certainly sounding to be a lot more competent. This is the Austin studio making it. I think the last thing they did was Prey, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Really cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm not super excited about Redfall generally, but again, just from a preservation standpoint, from a playability standpoint, I think that's a good move. I mean, I know I talked about like wanting to just be able to buy a disc and be able to play your game, and that's probably still outside the scope here because every game has a fucking day one patch, and most of the games that you buy like physically are more or less fucked until you download a patch or two or five to get them working the way they should. Because still, the way video games get released is busted and shitty. But at least they'll be playable in some form or fashion, unlike
Totally.
some of those games. Like, hey, that Anthem disc you have don't mean shit now.
A penny at GameStop.
Yeah, not worth it. Like, it's a coaster at that point. Let's very quickly talk a little bit more about Destiny 2 here. Not specifically about the game, but there was news that one of its chief voice actors here, Lance Reddick, who plays the voice of the Awoken Vanguard leader Zavala, also prolific actor in his own right. You can see him in John Wick Chapter 4, which is coming out this weekend, I think.
This weekend.
So he'll still be in that posthumously. The Wire, obviously, one of the best shows of all time. He played a big part there. He's passed away. TMZ reported this. It was reported as natural causes. I think he was 65.
I thought he was a 60.
Maybe just 60. But no more news has really come out other than people offering condolences. The gaming aspect of it that I thought was kind of interesting, and I even ended up participating in. This happened last Thursday or last Friday, I think. There were a lot of people when they heard the news, they logged into Destiny, went to the tower where Zavala stands, and they did emotes of kneeling down or
Yeah.
like showing their grief in a way and showing a tribute to Zavala slash more in that moment Lance Reddick himself. And a lot of photos were going around on Twitter about it. And it was just, I think it was really nice. I usually don't get too caught up in celebrity deaths. I
Yeah.
don't know these people. They're not my friends. I can appreciate their work without, knowing, again, personally, that doesn't mean too much to me. But for whatever reason, this one, maybe it's just because I've heard his voice so many times as the Vala and his other roles as well. But there was something that compelled me to go. I think I want to do that too. I want to be a part of that. And I logged in, and there were still a ton of people at the tower.
Oh yeah.
Destiny is a game that is instanced, so there's only, I think it's 25, maybe it's higher, maybe it's something like 40, but there's only so many people allowed in one instance of the tower as at a time, and then there's a ton of different instances of it.
Yeah.
So for me to come into a pack of, let's say, 25 players at the tower, and 15 of them are over at Zavala doing this while the other 10 are doing something at their vault or going and getting bounties and just playing the game normally, I thought was really cool that there was this outpouring of support. I know his family has reached out on Twitter and social media and thanked people and talked about how much he loved Destiny the game and the community. And he'll be missed. He was a good dude.
Yeah. I think that he did a lot of great things. Obviously, so you called out one that really impacted me was his performance of Silence and Horizon. And here in just a few weeks, we get the expansion, and I'm really curious what we get from Silence, if that. So, uh, fucking gone too soon. It would seem like he was involved in so much stuff, and I hope everybody surrounded themselves in his work and enjoyed some memories like you did with Destiny. There's a lot of great things you can check out, and we will miss him for sure. He was a great actor.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why I did this. It's probably a very silly thing. I have the Quantum Break game movie,
There
which
you
is
go.
like 2 hours long on YouTube. I've got that pulled up. I don't think I want to play Quantum Break, but part of me does kind of like, I kind of want to see what the story of Quantum Break was and see some more Lance Reddick. That'd be a cool thing
Yeah.
to do. So we'll see. A couple more stories here. One, Valve announced that Counter-Strike 2 is coming out this summer. Counter-Strike, one of the biggest fucking video games out there right now. Yeah, well, fuck it, we'll just put a 2 on there. So this is really, I don't know what's going to happen to Counter-Strike Go or Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I don't know if it's going away or if it'll still be around. I assume it would probably still be around as they hope people migrate to Counter-Strike 2. But Counter-Strike 2, Valve is saying that this is an overhaul to every system, every piece of content, and every part of the Counter-Strike experience. I know it's going to be put on the Source 2 engine, which is more capable for a lot of this stuff. One of the other big things they talked about were tick rates. I'm
Yes.
not a big PvP guy, so that doesn't mean a ton to me, but it means that it's going to run better for people. Like a tick rate, I know is like the game will check in. It's kind of like a refresh rate on a TV where like it has to go through this cycle to check to make sure that everything's still where it's supposed to be, and then it can check that against itself every time it quote unquote ticks. So instead of having like a positive tick rate or a specific thing, Valve is saying they have what they're dubbing a sub tick rate, which I guess to them
Yes.
mean like it's basically the game is going to run smoother and have fewer hiccups to that, which if you're playing a game as precise and fast paced as something like Counter-Strike, I would assume you would like that.
Well, I
So
hope they like it because they certainly will never get a Counter-Strike 3.
absolutely not, because Valve doesn't know how to count to 3. I
No,
mean, it is absurd to think that this is the second Counter Strike
I
game.
know.
They've made a lot of Counter Strike games, but yes, it is funny that just nothing with a 3 will ever come out from Valve.
Nope.
They're just incapable of
They
doing
won't
it.
do it.
Think of all the franchises they have. They have
I know.
Half-Life, they have Team Fortress, they have Portal, they have Dota, they have Left 4 Dead, they have Counter-Strike. None of which have a 3, all
I
of
know.
which have a 2. It's insane. It's
I know.
incredible. It's
I know.
incredible.
Those fucking
I
dummies.
I think it's got to just be a joke at this point, right? It's like because
Dude, even
they've
if there was another one, it would not be Team Fortress 2 or Portal 2. It'd be like Portal 2.5.
yeah.
They would.
I mean, we got Half-Life Alex, but I think somebody could say like, oh, that's a VR thing. It's not really. I mean, it's a continuation of the Half-Life story, but it's not a 3, right?
Right.
Like this, it's not the finished saga of Gordon Freeman. We're not going to put a 3 on that, but at the same time, put a 3 on something just so people know that you can do it.
I know. It's fucking crazy, man.
Man. All right. Well, let's end this on a more of a bit of a downer here. DICE/EA, who owns DICE, are saying they're going to be pulling Battlefield Bad Company 1 and 2, and also Battlefield 1943 from digital storefronts. The final day that you can buy these games is going to be April 28th. EA says they're doing this now in anticipation of the multiplayer servers going down in December. I think it's December 8th for all of these. Now, a game like Battlefield 1943 is a completely PvP experience. So when the servers go down, you can't play the game at all. It makes some sense to take that off your digital storefronts, even though I still think that sucks. But I understand the money realities of we can't keep these servers up forever if nobody's playing it or not enough people are playing it. Now, Battlefield Bad Company 1 and 2, those games do have multiplayer components. Those are obviously going to go down as well when they take the servers down, but those games also have single player components. The single player components of those games, if you own those games digitally or physically, you can still play. You will still be able to play through those campaigns. I've played Battlefield Bad Company 1, I think. I don't know if I played 2. I remember really liking it.
Cool.
So like those are good games. But I guess because the multiplayer component is going to be gone, they're worried that maybe that would make somebody buys that game digitally and goes, oh, the multiplayer doesn't work. I don't know. I mean, they're not going to do extra work to it just to say, hey, we excised the multiplayer out of this out of the game, and now we're going to sell, I don't know, just the Bad Company 1 campaign for $15-20 instead of the 30 or 40 we were charging for the full thing. I get that they're not going to do that because, again, money. In fact, what we'll probably get is Bad Company Remastered or Bad Company Remake or whatever, or a Bad Company 3. Fuck it, I don't know. They haven't made a Bad Company for a long while though. But I still think it sucks that there are games out there that you are going to have fewer ways to play. Yes, you can still buy an Xbox 360 copy of Bad Company 1 and play the campaign that way. So it's, not all hope is lost, but it does suck that a more convenient way of accessing what are pretty good games is going to be gone. I think that sucks.
Agreed. I think that sucks big time.
What also sucks in a different way is that when they originally made this announcement, they included Mirror's Edge on that list.
Yes, I saw that.
And then there was, I don't know how much immediate backlash there was, but there definitely was some. Because then pretty quickly, DICE came back and said, actually, no, it wasn't, Mirror's Edge wasn't supposed to be there. That was an error. That will continue to stay available digitally. I don't know how you make that error.
Dude,
like nobody just mistypes a number of times to be able to spell out Mirror's Edge. Like, it would take a lot of monkeys with a lot of typewriters to come up with Mirror's Edge as part of that list. So I feel like they learned real quick that people still want Mirror's Edge to be available.
You can have it from my cold, dead hands, DICE.
And that game is a single-player game. There might be like some leaderboards or some time trial stuff there that has like a multiplayer component, but that is not a multiplayer game. I guess I don't understand why you would even consider taking Mirror's Edge off a digital storefront if you didn't have to, but I also don't own a video game company, so I guess I don't specifically know. Anyway, I'm glad that Mirror's Edge is still around. Mirror's Edge, still a pretty cool game. I didn't love the way it played, but I loved the way it looked.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad it's continuing to have life out there. Even if I pour one out for your Bad Company 1 and 2 and 43, I guess.
Yes.
That's your news, Bobby.
That's the news. These are the credits. We've had a hell of a week. If you want to follow along with what we've got going on, you can do so by going to that link in chat. Our link tree is linktree/the casual hour. And we have all kinds of fun stuff there that you can tune into, including recaps of some of our other live streams, which on Monday night, I did play Destiny 2 with Chase. We beat the campaign. So buyer beware, there's going to be some spoilers on that video on demand, but
will there be? Will there?
No.
What's the spoiler? Bobby, what's the veil? Let people know what the veil is.
It's a Magic Eye poster from the 90s.
Yeah, there you go.
So we checked that out.
Spoiler warning needed. That's
Hey.
it's just what it is.
We had a quick look go up on Tuesday for the prologue to Ash of Gods The Way, which is a follow-up to Ash of Gods Redemption. That game seems pretty all right. Chase and I had a good time with it. You can go find that quick look right now. You heard episode 317 of the Casual Hour tonight, or whenever you're listening to this. On this upcoming Thursday, we have another quick look going up for Terraformers. This is a deck building light, 3x light strategy game, and I got to show that to Chase, and we had a good time with that as well. And if you want to see Diablo IV beta, hopefully in action with the server stuff, you can tune in Friday night at 10:30 p.m. Central right here at twitch.tv/the casual hour and check out the fun new classes there. So tune in and hang out and say hello. Chase, what do you got going on?
Not a ton. PAX East is tomorrow, I think. So our good friend Pierce Corshane, good friend of the show Pierce Corshane, is working that. I think Jiggy's probably there. He might be there. He lives around the area. So there's not going to be a new episode of Pilot Program for a little bit because I'm waiting for Pierce to get back from PAX East. Our next episode will be on Deadwood, which is a show I hadn't seen until tonight. So I watched episode 1 of that, and I'm looking forward to talking about that with Pierce on that.
We watched episode 2 tonight.
Of Deadwood?
I've seen all of it. Sarah hasn't. She wanted to start it. So we watched episode 1 a few nights ago, and we watched episode 2 tonight.
Maybe we should bring you both on. Maybe we'll have a big old party for Pilot Program. That'd be fun. But yeah, that's kind of what I got going on. There's some other things that are in the hopper. There's new episode of Gamers on the Go that's being planned out. There's some Chasey K Plays stuff that I'm still considering about and thinking how I'm going to do that. But yeah, for now, the most immediate thing are probably the Gamers on the Go episode and that Deadwood episode of Pilot Program. If you want to go listen to the last episode of Pilot Programming that we did, Pierce and I talked about the TV show Archer. We both didn't love it as much this time around, but I think it was a good conversation. So you can find that at Pilot Program on my link tree that Bobby has in the chat.
Very cool. Chat, thanks for stopping by and hanging out with us. Everybody else listening, come back and check out one of our live episodes where you can, and we'll talk to you all soon. Take care.